Hello sewists, my name's Laura and you're watching my channel So Very Laura. So today's vlog is all about the Busy Bee Challenge 2025, which is running over September, October and November with a new challenge each month. The challenge is loosely themed on the sewing bee, and we are inviting everyone to join in and have a go at the challenges alongside the vloggers who are all participating. So the challenge this year is being run by the lovely Sam, who you probably all know as Sequin Girly Creates. And apart from her and myself, there are another 6 vloggers taking part, and they are Emma, Shannon, Michelle, Jasmine, Vanessa and Tina. So some of us have been on YouTube a little while, others of us are fairly new. So I will link everyone's channel down below. So please do go along and give them a watch and find out what they are doing for the challenge. And hopefully you'll find some nice new vloggers that you can subscribe to. So I took part in this challenge last year and really enjoyed it. So I'll also link below my vlogs for the challenges that I did last year. So this year, the first challenge is based around the pattern challenge. So all the challenges are based loosely around the challenges from the sewing bee. And the first one on the sewing bee is the pattern challenge, where contestants make up a pattern that's given to them, and they have usually about 4 hours to make it up. Now, clearly, we're not contestants on the sewing bee, and we don't have necessarily 4 hours at a time to just go and make a pattern. So we're lucky we've got roughly a month for each challenge. So what we're doing this year is that Marilla Walker, who is a designer who has been around for a little while but has actually now stopped designing new patterns, has very kindly made 4 of her previous patterns that are already created in a size inclusive manner available for free, which is just great. And I know Sam was really happy about this because she's made quite a few, I think, of the Nautilus top and dress, and has never been able to recommend it to people because it was effectively unavailable. So now it's available as a free pattern along with 3 others. And so our challenge this month is to choose one of those patterns and make it up in time to do a release vlog on the last Wednesday of the month, which for September is the 24th of September. So today I'm going to talk you through what I think I'm likely to make, and also what I would make if I get more time, which I suspect I won't. But this might be something that I will do in the coming months anyway, so still worth having a chat about it. And actually what's been really pleasing is that all the challenges that Sam has dreamt up for this year are all actually things that I quite wanted to do anyway. So that fits in really well with my existing plans. So the first pattern that I'm going to talk to you about, which I am thinking of making, and this is the one that I think I'm more likely to make, is the Nautilus top. Which can also be turned into a dress. So in the pattern instructions, Marilla Walker gives the dimensions of the panel that you would use to make the skirt, rather than actually providing pattern pieces for that. But in terms of the top, and I'm looking down at my notes again, so please forgive me, there's a scoop neck version, so not unlike what I'm wearing now, or you can do a V-neck version, and on the V-neck version it fastens with buttons down the front. Really my style generally tends to be more scoop neck than V-neck, so I would go for the scoop neck version. So it's quite a cropped top, but it's also quite loose fitting. And then you have a choice of sleeves. So I'll put a picture up here of it. So you can either have grown on sleeves with a cuff, or you can have a longer sleeve, a pleated longer sleeve with an elasticated cuff. I suspect I'm likely to make the version with the longer sleeves, particularly as in the UK, we're now starting to go into autumn. So I have already had a look at the sizing. I've had this pattern and the other pattern I'm interested in already printed. And I think my measurements put me at a size 4, certainly on the bust, but I might grade out to a size 5, possibly. I may not need to, because certainly in terms of the hip, the widest part of my hip is actually really the top of my leg. And this top is so cropped, it's not going to go anywhere near that. But it may be that I decide to grade out to a 5 just for comfort on the waist and the hip. So if you assume that your fabric is non-directional and that it's 150 centimeters wide, 150 meters would be great, wouldn't it? You could get no end out of that, but no, 150 centimeters wide, then you only need 1.4 meters of fabric. So I have picked from my stash 4 fabrics that might be possible for me to make this in. So let me know below which one you would choose if I were to go ahead and make this top. So here's the first one. So this one I think is a kind of polyester. I don't know the exact contents of it, because a little while ago somebody in our village was getting rid of a whole lot of fabric in one go, and she just asked if anybody would like it, and I said I would, and she very kindly gave me about 3 boxes, and that's where this came from. So I love the design of it. You can see it's really quite nice and swirly, quite a busy print. I think it'd be quite nice as a top, and it's very drapey, and slightly kind of crinkly. I think it is probably polyester, and I've got over 2 meters of this, so I would be absolutely fine in terms of being able to make the top out of it. But I think the drapiness would lend quite well to it. It's obviously it won't be too stiff, and I've definitely got enough if I want to put the longer sleeves on it. So that is option 1. Option 2, I do apologise for the state of some of these. I've dug them out in some cases from deepest stash, and they've got a bit squished, even though they have all been washed. But recently I've started adopting a policy of only ironing things when I'm ready to use them, even though they're pre-washed. So this one is a viscose lawn, I think. And it is Lady McElroy, and I got it as a remnant, and I've got 1.4 meters of it. And you'll see it's got these elephants on it. So I think this one probably is directional, so I would need to be a bit careful in terms of cutting it out. And it might be that if I use this, I would actually do the shorter sleeved version and just wear a cardigan with it. I quite like the idea of making it up in this, particularly at this time of year, because I think as we go into autumn, I think that would work really nicely. And I have actually got some greeny fabrics that I want to make skirts out of. So I think that would work really well, maybe with a black cardigan or something. So yeah, that one is quite a front runner in my thoughts. So that is my second choice. And one of the reasons that I'd quite like to do the scoop neck, as I've said, I prefer wearing the scoop neck anyway, but also I think because you haven't got the button placket, it's not going to break up the fabric, so you've got more room to kind of let the fabric do the talking, if you like. So here's one that definitely does the talking. And this, I think, came from Semi Sunshine. And I got it as a remnant, and it's another viscose. It's a dead stock viscose lawn, and I have got 1.67 meters of it. So I've got plenty of that. And I think in the scoop neck that would work really well. And recently I've got quite into wearing pink and green together, and I've got some green smartish trousers, and I think that would go quite nicely. So yeah, that's another, if you like, kind of quite favourite option that I could pick. Let me know what you think. I'd be really interested to see. And my final choice for this, which is really creased because it was on the bottom of a pile of stash, is another viscose, and this came from Rainbow Fabrics. I've got 2 meters of this, so actually I may not really want to cut into it. I had originally bought it with the intention of making something like a blouse, and I might still do that because I've certainly got enough. But I pulled it out because I thought it would quite nicely, in terms of the drape, suit the pattern, and it's a nice bold design. So you've got these cats in various poses on the moon, and I just love this one here that's kind of playing with the stars. If you've been following me for a while, you know I've got 2 cats. So yes, I tend to quite like fabric with cats on. You might see that as a theme. And I have, as I say, I've got 2 meters of that, so that would be another option. So I mentioned earlier that I think it's likely that I will be making the Nautilus top, for the simple reason that I think it will go together reasonably quickly, and I am away on holiday for some of the time between now and reveal day. So it's quite likely that I will end up making the Nautilus top, because I do want to take part in the challenge and I do want to try and do it on time, rather than start making something and then find I can't complete it on time. That said, there is another of the patterns that really appeals to me, and if I manage to get it cut out before I go on holiday, there is a possibility I might go for that. If I don't, I think I will still make it anyway at some point over the autumn. So I shall mention that now. So I'm just going to get the fabrics that I've pulled out for that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I've dug out from my stash 3 fabrics, and another one arrived in the post today, which I ordered specifically for this dress. So that gives you a bit of a clue. I'm not thinking of making the coat. But yes, I've pulled some other alternatives out, and the dress that I am looking at is the Bellum Night dress. And I'll put a picture up here, and I really, really, really like this dress, and I just thought, yeah, I want to make that. So as I say, if I don't get it made for the challenge, it is going to happen. So if you've not watched any of the other vloggers yet talking about this dress, I'll just tell you quickly what it's like, and I'll put a picture in. So the one I'm interested in doing is View A, and that probably won't surprise you because that's the one without the buttons. So View B has buttons, View A doesn't, so it's got a solid, it's made in panels, but it fastens with a zip up the back rather than with buttons at the front. So it's a fit and flare dress, and it's got long gathered sleeves, and it's got a zip at the back, as I said, and then it's also got ties that you I think you probably put them into the waist seams. It's described as self ties rather than a belt, so that you can cinch it in a bit at the waist. That's the only bit that makes me a bit nervous, but we'll see. I might make the ties, try it on, see what I think, and then if I decide I just like it a bit more nipped in at the waist but I don't like the ties, then I can always adjust it. So that's what the dress looks like. As before, I've had a look at the sizes, and it recommends you go with the size that works for your upper bust and your full bust. So again, for me, that puts me squarely in the size 4. Again, I might be tempted to grade out to a size 5 for the waist and hips, just purely to have a bit more ease on the waist. But I'll see what it looks like. I might measure. I think the waist on the size 4, the actual measurement is something like 31 centimeters, and my waist can be 31 centimeters. So I'm sorely tempted to actually grade out to the size 5. I think I'd feel a bit happier about that. And the fabric that it recommends is lightweight, stable fabrics. So it says linen, possibly something like a double gauze or shirting. So I've picked out 4 fabrics, and again, the pattern only speaks about what you will need if you have a non-directional fabric and it's 150 centimeters wide. It doesn't give measurements for anything that's narrower, so you'd have to kind of play around with the pattern pieces before you started cutting to make sure you could get everything on if you have a narrower fabric. So shall we have a look at the fabrics I have picked out for this? First up, from Deepest Stash. In fact, I think I've had this one longer than anything else that I am showing you in this vlog. I think I've had this since 2021, at least that's what it says on Stash Hub, so it must be true. So this one is a really pretty cotton chambray. So it's got some drape, but it's also obviously fairly substantial. With these butterflies on, and I have got, how much have I got of this? I've got 3 meters of this, so that's plenty. And I got it from Minerva ages ago, and it's got these pretty butterflies on it. So maybe a bit more of a pattern for spring, but then by the time I get around to making it, it might be spring. So yeah, fine. And also because it's got the darker background, I think it would be all right with tights and boots in the winter. So that is my first fabric, and as I say, the oldest in the vlog. Next up, another one that I've had in my stash for a while, and this one comes from Pound Fabrics, and I think I've got 3 meters of it. I haven't written it down, but I'm pretty sure I've got 3 meters of it. But it might only be 147 centimeters wide, so it'll probably be fine. And it's this kind of starburst fireworks, and I think it's a cotton poplin, but that would be quite nice. Again, though, it might be a bit more appropriate if I were going to make this for spring, summer. But it wasn't a hugely expensive fabric, so it might work quite nicely as a wearable toile. Let me know what you think. Goes quite nicely with my hair. So there's certainly that to it. So that is my second fabric. The next one is a bit of a wild card, partly because it's not very wide, because this is a quilting cotton. And this came from Florida when I went in May last year, April, May last year, and it comes from Hobby Lobby, and it's this, which is slightly unusual, shall we say, for a dress, but it's this coffee based fabric. So again, might make a wearable toile if I had enough. I essentially bought what was left on the bolt, which was 4.23 meters. The only thing that I worry about with this is that it might be a bit much for a whole dress, and also it is quite pale, so this might work better as, I don't know, trousers, something like that, or a shirt, but it might be too much for a whole dress. But I do love it. I do love it. I'm trying to drink less caffeine these days, but I still love my coffee, and there's always decaf. So yeah, so that is probably a bit of an outlier in terms of what I might use. So they're all the fabrics that have come out of my stash, but I did say that I'd got one more that had just arrived in the post, and it came today, and I was really hoping it would come today because I wanted to film this, and I thought I might have to say I have another fabric that I'd like to make this dress in, but it isn't here. And this one is, I just love this. So as you can see, it is dragons, and I'm pretty sure it's directional, but I've got 5 meters of this. And I got this from Rainbow Fabrics. They've had this huge sale in on to sort of celebrate the end of summer. And I think I got this for £2.50 a metre, something like that. It was half price, and I think it was already down to £5 a metre. And I knew this fabric was beautiful because if you've watched me before, you will know that I went to the Festival of Quilts in beginning of August, right at the beginning of August, with the lovely Mandy Make It So. So I'll link her channel below. And she actually bought some of this fabric and made her husband a shirt from it. So I'd already felt the fabric and I knew that I really liked it. And it comes from Joanne, and as you probably know, Joanne is I think it's now pretty much closed down. So obviously how Rainbow got the fabric. So I kind of thought with this, well, when it's gone, it's gone. I'm not going to be able to get it again. So I grabbed it while I had the chance, and I suspect it isn't 150 centimetres wide with it being quilting cotton, but I've got 5 meters, so hopefully I'd be absolutely fine. And I just think this would look great as the Bellum night dress. I just think it's one of those ones that's really unusual, and kind of would just look nice and bright. And then when you get it close, you can see what's actually on it. So I just think that's so fun. So I think this almost certainly will become a dress at some point, and whether I would want to, I know it didn't cost me very much, but it is kind of precious because I can't get more of it. So whether I would make the Bellum Night in something else first, and then if it works out, I'll make it in this, I don't know. But I do really like this fabric, and I could really see it as a Bellum Night. So that's all my options. So do please let me know in the comments what you think in terms of which fabrics you would choose for, or you think I should use for the top and or the dress. Realistically, much as I'd love to make the dress, I'm not sure that's going to happen. I just want to manage expectations here. But it is possible that I will have a go at the dress in the not too distant future. So yeah, do please let me know your thoughts. We'd love everybody who is interested in doing so to join in and also have a go at these patterns. They are free to download, which is great. So yeah, if you fancy having a go, we'd love to have you along. So that's it from me for now. I'm hoping to bring you another vlog in the not too distant future. You can probably see from what's behind me, sewing is in progress. This is me making the Arbutus robe, which I mentioned briefly, by Helen's Closet, because I'm trying to make one for me and one for my husband before we go on holiday. His is done. Mine's about halfway there, a bit more. So hopefully I will be able to show you those very soon. And no, I'm not taking my sewing machine on holiday. I'm going on a cruise, and I don't think, he said, well, you can if you want, but I don't think he'd be very happy. So that's what's happening at the moment behind me. And yeah, so do please head over and have a look at the other lovely vloggers who are participating in the challenge. Let me know below if you're going to have a go yourself and what fabrics you think I should use. And I will see you in terms of this challenge on the 24th, where I'll show you what I've made. Huge thanks to Sam Sequin Girly Creates for running this challenge, and I'll see you all very soon.